Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today, as promised in my videos on the JVC a week ago or 2 weeks ago or whenever the heck it was, today we are digging into my very first Quartz lock 3-head cassette deck, this Technics RS-B755. Now, this was originally going to be just an evaluation video just to see where it's at before I start tearing into it and servicing it, because like I've mentioned before, this unit is intended to help me make more speed alignment cassettes in order to calibrate other tape decks with, because you actually need a quartz lock unit to do that. This unit officially has more challenges we need to deal with that go beyond being a simple evaluation video. See, this had some shipping damage when it got here. Let me show you. See that right there? That was not in the seller's description pictures when I first bid on this thing. So yeah, it's been banged up. You can see the whole front panel is sort of trying to come away here. So we're gonna have to fix that at the very least. This monitor button was pushed in and not functional. But yeah, as soon as I saw this thing had shipping damage, I wanted to get back to the seller just to let them know what happened with it. So fair disclosure, I have had this thing powered on. I wanted to see exactly what it did or didn't do in order to tell them about the condition of the unit. So yes, this has been powered on before we got here into this video, but I really haven't gone that far into it yet, so let me just plug it in real quick here and we'll show you exactly what happens when I turn the power on. And you're thinking probably absolutely nothing, but no, there is something going on. Let me see if I can get you in here. I don't know if you're actually going to be able to hear this or not. It is powered on now, but let's see if we can get you guys to hear this. I will crank up the audio in post just so you can, hopefully. So I don't know if you heard that or not, but the capstan motor is actually running, the direct drive capstan motor. And here's further proof that the deck is actually turned on. We've got a motorized eject door on this thing, and said eject door has opened up. And oh good lord, this thing's been well used. Look at all that dirt and gunk in there. I'm gonna have to clean that up right away. But yeah, it powers on. Tape door opens. We've just got no display. And I will bet you dollars to donuts there's gonna be a fractured circuit board in there somewhere that we're gonna have to deal with. So we're gonna fix that in this video, because I have to see exactly what the heck is going on with this unit. Because more than likely, if there's a fracture in the circuit board, all of these buttons will not work as well. So, you know what? Let's try some of these buttons. I bet you this thing plays. Since the capstan motor is running, I bet it plays. The reason I think it will play is because this transport is completely beltless. There is one belt that opens and closes this door, and that's it. The real drive on this unit is done with gears. And obviously being direct drive, there's no capstan belt either. And being single capstan, there's no intercapstan belt. So I bet this thing plays. I just bet it does. So let's have a look-see. What does the transport do? Does it do anything? Let's find out. And yes, it does. It's playing right now. Rewind works. Fast forward works. Huh. I gotta know, does this thing put out audio? Give me a second here. If this thing puts out audio, we're basically good on this unit. Because I only wanted to use it for making speed calibration cassettes, I basically don't even need the display to be working. I just need the ability to put a 3 kilohertz tone onto a cassette, and yeah, it has to be at perfect speed because that's what you need for a calibration cassette, and thus the Quartz lock. So, I want to see if this works, or if this will play audio, but before we do that, I'm going to do some light cleaning here, because I'm not sticking a cassette into something this dirty. I have to have it at least a little bit clean. And I'm noticing the pinch roller looks a bit glazed as well, so that may need to be replaced, but we'll deal with that as time goes by. Just getting a little isopropyl alcohol Q-tip going here. Look at that. That is nasty. It's like me trying to clean out my ears. That was probably too much information, wasn't it? Oh well, that is looking much better now. I'd like to clean that pinch roller as well. Let me see if I can do that. We have to fool the deck into thinking there's a tape in it. I'm looking in to see where the switches are for that. Might be this one here. Let's find out. Ah! It doesn't want me to do that. I'm going to have to take the transport out in order to clean that pinch roller. But Lord have mercy, there's a lot of junk in there. This was well used and well loved. I'll get the heads next. The heads aren't too bad. It's just the capstan that was really, really bad. But yeah, for the year, this was not exactly top of the line for Technics. The top of the line unit would have been the RS-B, let's see, what was it, the 965 or something like that. And if that one had come in this condition, I might actually be upset, but no, not so much this one. I am okay with the seller on this one. They have gotten back to me and they're looking into taking advantage of the shipping insurance. And you know what's going to happen, right? The second I get that money, if I get any money at all. That's right. I'm going to buy more tape decks. That's my addiction, apparently. Okay, that should be clean enough to actually listen to some audio now. And I would like to introduce you to my brand new test demo tape. I had the Excelia put this one together over the weekend, so this is all good to go. I decided I was going to go with a Chrome unit, and yeah, 60 minutes, so I didn't have to sit there for an hour and a half making a new tape, so yeah, let me get this hooked up and we'll see what happens. Okay, so I'm running this through the home theater today, because I want to see exactly what I'm dealing with for sound quality. Obviously, we're not going to see if it's detecting the tape type properly, because obviously no display, but we're just going to assume that it's got the right settings going. Let's see here. Let me wind it into the tape a little bit. All right, here goes nothing. I'm gonna say it works. We just gotta get the display going. And it seems like the speed is accurate as well. Now, fair disclosure, I've already been through the service manual, and I know this is using those really bad capacitors, those surface mount ones, electrolytic ones. I know it uses those on the direct drive motorboard, and those are all going to have to be replaced. But it seems like there's enough capacitance going on that it's still working fine, so we'll probably cover that during the transport service video, which will not be this video, because I don't have my Molykote EM30L yet. I really want this to be done right, so I'm going to tear this down to a level I've never torn anything down before. I'm going to take every gear out. And yeah, we're just going to make sure it's all right, because when it comes to making speed calibration cassettes, it has to be as flawless as possible, so... Yeah, she's got it going on here. I'll tell you what. Plenty of low end, plenty of high end. I think the heads are in good shape in this one, which is exactly what I wanted to find out from this. So yeah, it looks nasty in there, but we've got a good base of operations to start from here. Now, let's get into this thing and we'll see what's going on the inside. No, wait. Let's take a look around the outside first, and we'll just check out the extent of the damage. This is obviously where most of it happened. I don't know where the hit actually took place, but you can't really see it too well, but the case is deformed a little bit up here, and we've got a little bit of a bend going on in the metal down here. I'm going to have to see if I can straighten that out and reattach this metal to the plastic backing or something. I've just recently restocked my glue, so that shouldn't be a problem. Going over to this side, I don't really see too much going on, but once again, it seems like the metal top here is deformed a little bit. I don't know what I can do to straighten this out, but all I'm looking to do with this unit is to get it to actually work well enough to make my calibration tapes. It doesn't have to be pretty. It just has to work. So let's go around back here. No damage here that I can see, thankfully. This is where the main circuit board is inside the unit, so if we had any dents in the back panel here, then there was no way I was going to be powering this up without getting inside it first. But as it turns out, yeah, it does turn on, it does work. So, yeah, next step is, let's see what's going on with that display. Okay, the cover is off, and we're going to take a look at the insides. We'll start with the transport first. We'll make you wait to get to the good stuff. I will bet money that the fracture is probably somewhere way over there, because that's where the damage is on the outsides, but we'll get there. Don't worry. Okay, so this is the transport here. Let's see. I don't know if you can see it too well, because there's a lot of stuff in the way. This is the real drive motor here. The direct drive capstan motor is way down in there. Right there. I don't know if you can see it. Let me grab a flashlight. You can see the flywheel turning there. That's because it's still powered on. But yeah, in order to replace those capacitors, we have to get way down in there. And that'll be done in transport service. And yes, I already see those terrible quality surface mount electrolytics that were always going bad back in the day. Let me see if I can zoom in on one of them. Let's see. My light is shining directly at it, so where can I find it in the shot here? Ah, there it is. You can see it right there next to that spinning flywheel. Really hard to see. It's right down where my finger is. You see where that wire is? Just past the wire. That's the that's one of those capacitors right there. And I have checked. I have all of those capacitors on hand, so I'm not going to have to do a DigiKey order on this guy. Thankfully. I'll just unplug it here and we'll continue our inspection. I don't see anything going on with the main board. Nothing seems to be fractured on it, which I would expect because it does play. And I know you guys are shouting at the screen right now. Get to the good stuff. Okay, fine, we'll get to the good stuff. All right, there's our display circuit board right there. And I'm just taking a look. Oh wait, I see it. Did you spot it? I see it right there. You see it now? Right there? That's a crack. I don't know how far it goes along here. We might actually have to pull this whole board out in order to properly diagnose this, but there are things I want to look at in the transport as well, so we are going to have to get the front panel off this thing anyway. But yeah, there's our problem right there, I think. I don't see any other fractures. That doesn't mean there aren't any. But yeah, when it comes to dealing with fractures like this, there's a few ways you can deal with it. You can either do a solder bridge across, or you can do jumper wires, or you can use component leads and jumper across that way. But usually when they're in this kind of a fragile area of the circuit board, I'll just run jumper wires so I can have it be done and over with. So I think that's probably what I'm going to do on this one. But yeah, we have to get this front panel off so we can do that. Now, thankfully, I have the service manual. And I don't know if you guys know Technics the way I know Technics, but I love servicing their stuff. Because Technics and Panasonic have some of the best service documentation in the industry, bar none. All the way back to the 80s, when I was working on their electronic organs. I came to know and love them for that back then, because, yeah, they tell you every single thing you could ever possibly need to know about these units. And whatever you happen to be servicing. Anyhow, we've got some connectors to free up. So these are the head wires here. I'm going to try unplugging these carefully. I don't want to pull on these wires because they'll break. There we go. Now, these units aren't especially known for sound quality when it comes to recording, so I don't know if that's true, but I look forward to finding out. But really, I don't need this thing to sound good for recording. I have the Excelia for that. And I have several other decks for that. This one doesn't need to be perfect. This one just needs to work. Okay, that should be freed up. Now we've got two of these little 3-pin connectors here. We're going to have to figure out a way to delineate those so I can put them back together properly. All right, here we go. I'm going to put a red mark on this one, and I'm going to put a red mark on the white wire just so I can tell exactly which one goes where. Now we got a zip tie to get rid of. And let's see if I can figure out how to properly disengage these connectors now, because I didn't know how to deal with them when I was dealing with my RX-DS50 and RX-DS20 from Panasonic. And yeah, it looks like it was really that easy. You just push down on the edge of the connector there, and then pull the wires out. Let me see if I can get you a better look, and we'll do the next two like that. Push down. Push down. Okay, I see what's going on here. They are indeed different. At least I think they are. Let me see if I can... There we go. We got one. This other one's fighting now, because of course it is. Actually, this unplugs at the transport as well. But never mind. We're doing it the way we're doing it. But yeah, when it comes to shipping these units, the best way to go about it is really to double box them. Put the tape deck inside of a box with bubble wrap maybe. Then you put the box inside of another box and you separate the two with a layer of foam. The second best way to do it is to wrap in several layers of bubble wrap. Put it in your box, a nice thick box, and then just put packing material all around it to keep it from moving around inside the packing material. And this one was kind of shipped like that, like most of my units are, but I'll just show you here. This stuff was used in order to pack it and keep it from moving around. And unfortunately, paper is not good enough for that. So yeah, the paper compressed, this thing started bouncing around, and next thing you know, we've got a crack in the circuit board up there. But not to worry. Seller's making it right, so can't fault them for that at all. I very much appreciate what they're doing for me in this occasion, but really I am quite excited to be getting into this, because this is the first one where I've ever been able to show you how I deal with problems like this. So let's see what other connectors have we got going on here. Got a couple over there. All right, I've got those connectors released now, so it's time to start freeing it up so we can get the front panel off. Let's see, we got a couple of screws down here, and the Technics service manual does tell you exactly what to remove to take the front panel off, which I did reference before I started this video. And there should be a few screws underneath. And we had something falling out. Just a piece of plastic. I'm not bothered by that. Nice, thick, cheap plastic base on this thing. And I'm going by the service manual to remove this one. It says to do that. But yeah, Technics service manuals are just pure works of art. I love them. I love working on their stuff. So we should be able to get the front panel off now. We'll see if we can. It's going to be a challenge because of the broken part of it, and the transport should come off away with the front panel, so no worries there. Okay, there it goes. And just like that. Now let me set the front panel aside for a second here. I just want to have an up-close look at this part of the main board. We're looking for any possible signs of damage, because this is the area that connects to the front panel, obviously, so we need to make sure there's no damage to any of these connectors, and there does not appear to be. So I think we're moving along real well on this one. Shipping damage aside, I think it's going to be a great tape deck for me as soon as I learn how to talk. Alright, I found me a pillowcase to set her down on. I'm just taking a look at this cracked area here. It's really hard to see. But yeah, we've got 2 broken traces for sure. This other one here might be broken as well, but let's just get the meter out and we'll see what it says. We'll just do a continuity check here. Okay, that one's good. That one's broken. And that one's broken. Not sure if those are supposed to be bridged together or not. Probably not. I'm going to have to pull this board off in order to go further with this. But yeah, it looks like this area is going to be fairly easy to do. I just got to run at least 2 jumper wires, maybe 3. I might do a little solder bridge over here, but I don't think there's any damage there. So, screwdriver. We'll just pop this board out, hopefully, and we'll see what's going on. And if there's any other damage, we'll find it. I'll get that screw out in a minute. Don't worry about it. Just checking to see what I need to do to finish getting this out. And I might have to pull out the board that's underneath it as well. Just depending on the way this was built. Maybe not. I'm looking for any connectors that I might be able to... Yeah, I think we can do this without actually messing around with that bottom board. We got to pull all these knobs off, of course. One thing I do like about this unit already, it's got separate left and right bias calibration, or recording calibration. The bias isn't separate, it's just the recording left and right. You can do that independently, which is nice. And we'll get the transport out also in this video and see what's going on with that, because I want to check the pinch roller condition and whatnot. Just free up the little clips here that hold this board in. Hopefully it'll just pop out. I think the record level will just pop out. I don't see anything on this side holding anything in. Trying to be gentle so I don't break anything else myself. It's fun to figure out how these things come apart. Sometimes I could be looking at the service manual, of course, but I'm not. Oh, this is going to be rough on this corner because I got to pry the control pots out here. That's what's holding them in. And I don't want to break this corner any more than it already has been broken, so fortunately I think I've managed to avoid disaster. There we go. It's out. Now, let me just set this off to the side real quick. I want to have a nice long look at this board. I don't see any fractures on this one. That is very good news. Of course, I already kind of suspected there would be nothing wrong with it because after all, we got the unit to play a tape, so yeah, the only damage is going to be on this board. So I'm going to put this off to the side again. And we're just going to work on this board. Now let me get it real close to my face here. I'm even going to take my glasses off for this. Yeah, it's right around VR8 where the fracture is. But you know what? That doesn't look like it would cause the issues with the display. So for all we know, the display was like that before the seller sold this unit. They sold it as untested, so everything about this is a mystery to me. We might end up having to do a bunch of desoldering on this vacuum fluorescent display in order to get it to work again, because there might be some bad capacitors under there. But we will get into this. Oh, wait, there's another fracture right there. Pays to be thorough. You can't even see it from this side of the board, but it's there. Right there. That I could see causing issues with the display. So, let me try and figure out exactly where I'm situated here. It goes from where these three holes are to the display. So we might have a few broken traces right up in here to deal with as well. Let's see if I can get you zoomed in nice and close. Okay, so yeah, you can kind of see where the fracture is now. I don't see any issues with those traces, but that doesn't mean there aren't any. I'm going to check those with the meter real quick here. Pays to be thorough with stuff like this. Initially, I was kind of thinking, man, don't pull the board out. Just fix it in sight, or in situ. But yeah, If I'd done that, I would have missed that fracture and maybe we would have been unhappy later. Okay. Let's check some traces here. We'll check this one first. That one's good. Now the next one, oh, that goes way up underneath that shield. I gotta get that off now. Fire up the iron. All right, I hope you can see what I'm doing here. I know you can't see what I'm soldering on right now, but that's all right. There are these metal tabs that solder down to the board, and this is going to make things difficult for me, because of course it will. Just too much solder. And I'm going to keep the pillowcase under there because I don't want this display to be damaged. If I can get it working, I want it working. I don't need it to be working to do what I want it to do, but I would like it to be working. And I'm pleased to report that this thing came to me in budget for a change. I paid just over $200 to get this here. The seller graciously accepted my offer for a modest discount on the price of the unit itself. So it was actually more expensive to ship it here than it was to actually buy the unit. And that's kind of the way things are going these days, isn't it? Everything's expensive, especially if you live in Canada. Okay, where were we? We were checking the traces. And most likely I will solder either jumper wires or solder bridges across there anyway, just to keep the fracture from causing future problems. But yeah, where was I? Okay, I got you set up now, I think. Okay, we were checking all these. This one goes around here, around there, and down to here on one side. Okay, that one's good. Now we got to check this one here. Good. Let's see here. Oh, that one goes all over the place. I've lost track of it too. Actually, that one's got a bad solder joint right there too, so we'll have to fix that as well. Oh, this one's a tough one to follow. And that one is good. So let's see, I've checked that one, that one. Did I check that one? I think I did, yes. I don't think I've checked this one. Okay, yeah, the fracture on that part of the board does not go all the way through. So you know what I might do? I might just leave that screw out. Doesn't really need to be there. Now let me check the solder joints on the vacuum fluorescent display here, which would be up here. Because so far I still have not found anything conclusive to tell me why it's not working. Because remember, the fracture that goes all the way through is on this potentiometer here. This is for recording calibration. That has nothing to do with the display. All right, folks, I found it. Check this out. Actually, it's probably easier to show you with a dental pick. Those are some bad solder joints right there. In fact, they're non-existent at this point. So yeah, that right there is probably why the display doesn't work. So yeah, let me get with the soldering iron here and I'll fix everything up, and I'll show you what I've done back in this corner after I get back. All right, so I think we're done with this board. As you can see, I've got 3 jumper wires soldered in here to deal with the board fracture over here. So that should be fine now. I've checked with the meter. Nothing wrong with these connections at all. And the display should be fine now too, because I went through and I resoldered every single connection to the display. I found that these were also going bad, these connections. So I redid those. And I touched up a few along the board as well, so yeah, this board should be good now. I'll just have to be careful around where this other fracture is. I decided not to do anything about that yet. If I have to get back in here to deal with that, then I will. But for now, I think this board is fine. So I'm gonna get this back into the face, get this thing back on first, of course, and then we'll get into the transport. Okay, so the board is back in, and I've left the one screw out, the one that goes where that fracture is. I'm just going to keep leaving it out. I don't think that'll have any effect on anything because it's far from where the areas of stress would be. I could see there being stress along where these potentiometers are, and maybe to a lesser extent up here, but there won't be any strain over here to worry about, so I think we're fine there. Now, it's time to get the transport out and take a look at what kind of shape that's in. But first, check it out. That thing right there, that is a quartz crystal. That's what puts the quartz in quartz lock. And I'll confess, having been through the service manual, I was a little worried that there might not actually be a quartz crystal in this. I sort of got the impression that this thing was using a, ceramic resonator instead, but no, that is an actual quartz crystal right there. So, this is a true quartz lock unit. Now, what's the difference between ceramic resonators and quartz crystals, you might ask? Well, ceramic resonators do the same job, but they're not quite as accurate and not quite as stable when it comes to what the heck am I even focusing on? So yeah, ceramic resonators. They're not a bad way to go about doing sort of the same thing as a quartz lock, in a quartz lock as a quartz crystal would be, but the quartz crystals are more accurate over a wider temperature range. And you might be asking yourself, why in the heck would they want to do that? Why would they want to cheap out like that? And the answer is, well, because doing quartz lock with an actual quartz crystal is expensive, or was expensive. Not so much anymore. It just added cost. And you're probably wondering exactly what the hell I'm talking about when it comes to all this quartz lock and direct drive and other madness. If you watched my videos on the TCK 61 that uses the brushless, slotless motor, I kind of go into it in those videos, but I'll just try to get give a brief overview on how this works. Basically what you've got is a direct drive servo motor in here that spins the capstan directly. And in most direct drive units that are not quartz lock, like the Denon on my shelf and the TAC V900X that's coming up in a couple of weeks, most of the time on those units there's an FG servo circuit instead of a quartz lock. And what an FG servo circuit does is you've got your control chip somewhere inside the unit, and what it does is it reads the speed off the motor via Hall effect sensors, and then there's a frequency generator built into the chip that it compares the speed to. And if it's off, it adjusts the speed accordingly. Now in a quartz lock unit, it's a little different. There is no frequency generator in the control chip. What there is there's an external oscillator, which uses a quartz crystal, which vibrates at a specific frequency, and it uses that as a comparison to figure out just how fast the motor should be going. It's much more accurate. But honestly, I have a feeling that if that once I get inside the Technics and maybe even the TAC, and maybe even the Denon, I think those units might actually be good enough to do my speed calibration tapes. And why isn't this coming out? Yeah, they might actually be good enough to do my speed calibration tapes without this unit being in service, but we'll just have to see when we get there. I would very much like this one to be my huckleberry on that one. Okay, there we go. We got the transport. I'll just set this aside once more. Out of the way. Now we can have a look at this. Yeah, just dirt everywhere, and my brain is just screaming at me to clean some of this off. I'll give you a nice close look. Yeah, I gotta start with the cleaning because this is just bloody awful. And I'm probably gonna pop this pinch roller off so I can do it. Fortunately, it's easy on this one. Now, I want to check real close here. I want to have a look and see if this pinch roller is all right. Just using my fingernail or my thumbnail to press on it and see how long the indentations stay. It feels like it might be all right, but I'm kind of thinking maybe replace this. It's turning well on the shaft. So regardless, I would want to get in there and relube that anyway, but let me just put this down here. Swivel you over so I can, or so you can see what I'm doing. And let me see here. We'll just go over it with the isopropyl alcohol. Real nice. And we'll get it nice and clean. Look at how nasty that is. This needed doing badly. And yeah, I might order new pinch rollers for this. Fix Your Audio has some that'll work with this unit, so I'm kind of thinking because I want this to be as good as it possibly can get, I'm thinking maybe we get another pinch roller for it. Or a couple other pinch rollers. There's some debate on what size to use. Now you don't want to use this too often, this isopropyl alcohol on pinch rollers, because it dries them out. But when they're this dirty, you kind of got no choice. I have never seen one quite this dirty. And I've been into that Optonica. Well, actually the Optonica was kind of worse than this, but never mind. I could use the sanding trick with this, but I don't think I will. I don't think it's necessary. Feels like the rubber's in decent shape without requiring me to take a layer off. And because this thing has a wow and flutter specification of 0.05%, and I want it to do even better than that, we have to make sure we don't deform this pinch roller at all. Because if we do that, problems. Okay, I'm going to do another pass over the pinch roller here, and I'm going to use distilled water this time, so I don't leave any contaminants on the pinch roller itself. And that should make it nice and happy. It looks real good now. Oh yeah, there's plenty of grip too. Plenty of grip. So this might not actually need replacing, but just in case, let's do a little measuring, just to be sure. Get my new calipers here. We'll just come up like this. Trying to do this so you can see. Okay, outer diameter. Just hang on. 13.3. So I'm going to say 13.5 is the right pinch roller diameter for this one. Now, height. .9. Now, what's the diameter of the center hub? I believe it's going to be 2 millimeters, but yeah, 2 millimeters. So 13.5 by 5.9 by 2 millimeters. That's what we need to get for a pinch roller on this thing. Now, since I've already had that pinch roller off, I can relube this shaft here. Might as well. We're not doing a full transport service today. No, you know what? We're going to leave that. We're going to save that for the transport service video. That is what we're going to do. But we are going to do some more cleaning, because I cannot stand how dirty this thing is. Just get all this fuzzy looking garbage out of here. And one of the great things about the service manual and Technics telling you everything about everything, it tells you exactly what lube to use and exactly where to use it in every single part of this transport. I love Technics. I love working on their stuff. I'm not crazy about them in the audio quality department when it comes to cassette decks, but when they make it so easy for me to fix them, you can't help but love them. That's already looking 1,000 times better. But of course, we don't want to get too far into this before transport service video day. So I'm going to stop right there. And what I really need to do now is I need to take a look at the reel drive. Before I do that, I'll just put the pinch roller back on before I forget it. I could just see myself doing that. The grease on the head block seems okay, but that's fine. I'll replace it all anyway. Now, how do I get to the real drive on this thing? The reason I'm doing this is because I absolutely have to see whether or not these gears are cracking. They're known for it. And while we're at it, we'll give you a nice close look at those terrible capacitors. It's kind of tempting to fix them now, actually, since I'm getting into this already. But I'm gonna wait, just like I promised. This video is gonna be long enough, what with all the solder issues. Okay, we got a long screw down there. And another short one there. The capstan is pulling itself right out. So I'll set that to the side for now. And there it is. There's the direct drive motor assembly. Looks like we've got a three-phase arrangement going on here. 1, 2, and 3. I'm just taking a close look. I don't see any issues there with the coil wires. They all look to be in good shape, which is hardly surprising because the unit did work. We're going to have some issues though with these capacitors. I can tell you right now, because there's this one in the corner. I don't know that I'm going to be able to replace that as easily as I would like. It's very tiny. Looks like 4.7 at 25 volts. I might be able to fit the new parts in there. This one for sure should be easy to get in there somehow. The big challenge is to keep them out of this flywheel. You don't want them rubbing. And it looks like the thrust bearing is in dire need of new grease, but I'm not going to worry about that now. I'm here to look at this gear. And I think this gear is cracked. Let me just take a close look with my magnifier. Kind of craning it over top of you here. And actually, I'm going to need you all out of the way for a second here. Pardon me, coming through. Yeah, that gear's cracked and will need to be replaced. Fortunately, I know where I can get them. Fix Your Audio has those too. So that's good to know. All right, now since this capstan came out, I'm going to have to drop some new grease in there. And I hope if there's an oil keeper, I can find it. That went on the underside. I'm not going to clean the bearing just now. I'm just going to put new oil in only. I do not see an oil keeper on this or on my cloth, which memory says is probably accurate. Whoops, didn't mean to spill that on the transport, but it happened. Okay, we'll go like that again. And I hope I can get this back together without breaking anything. Yeah, that grease is bad. I'm sorry, I can't leave this alone. We'll do that with the Lubriplate 105. It's not going to be permanent. I'm going to go back in there with the moly coat when it gets here, but I don't have it yet. It's just we're already here, so why not clean it up? That grease was in bad shape, and I do mean bad shape. All right, now what's next? Lubriplate 105. And when the moly coat gets here, I'm going to use it for every high-end deck in the future. I'll keep using the Lubriplate because it does work and it is plastic safe. But yeah, for the high-end stuff like this and the Tiac on the shelf and the Denon, I want the moly coat for that. Okay, anything else I need to do while I'm in here? But yeah, if this unit did use a ceramic resonator, that's exactly where it would be, where this quartz crystal is. But thankfully I've got a quartz crystal, so very, very, very happy about that. All right, I think I got her back in the way she wants to be. But yeah, nice, relatively simple design to this transport. I like it. I wouldn't mind having some more Technics decks that are built like this. All right, I'll go in real quick and I will clean the capstan one more time because it's got oil on it now. Okay, that should be it. Now, I probably didn't answer an important question earlier. Is the shipping damage to blame for the display issues? Answer to that is no. All that damage was down in that one corner where the recording level control was. It wasn't anywhere near the vacuum fluorescent display. So most likely this is why the unit ended up where it did. It's because the display didn't work anymore. They didn't want to pay the money to fix it, and out the door it went. So their loss, my gain, I guess. The last thing I'm going to do right now is I'm going to clean all these switches up top here. I know these types of switches well from dealing with that big Panasonic RX DT901. All of these switches had failed in it, and I didn't have good contact cleaner, so I had to take these plastic doodads off them and then sandpaper them. I don't want to do that this time, because when you take these off to sandpaper the contacts, then they'll never go back on again. Ask me how I know. All right, that should be it for the transport. I'll set this off to the side now. And I want to take a look at the face again to see what I need to do to fix up the cosmetic damage over here. At least well enough to keep the front panel on. And I think what I'm going to end up doing is epoxy. It's mostly coming off in the corner where the shipping damage is. So yeah. I'm going to have to figure out a way to straighten this one corner of the metal here. Yeah, it looks like they made this so it comes off easily enough, but the problem is the tape door is still on the unit, and I don't want to mess with that, really. So I'm going to get a pair of pliers, and I'm going to try and bend that back into shape. All right, let's see what we can do here. I'm going to use painter's tape to protect the finish on the other side, where I'm going to be prying. And let's see if I can set you up here to do this. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to go like this and pry. Trying not to use a lot of pressure. And I think I got it now. Yes, much better. So yeah, I think the solution is to epoxy down here. Oh, I actually see it now. There's a catch that is supposed to be holding this. And that catch is fine. See, is there one on top? There might be. Let me just take a look here. There is, but it's broken. Of course it's broken. Well, that could have been bent a little further out, but whatever. It looks what I need to do, on the bottom at least, is to fold this area inwards. So let me see if I can do that. That way I can get that catch to hold on. Possibly. This might be a little tricky. Or a lot tricky, as the case may be. Trying to get some more of these clips freed up so I can get more room to work on it here. Not using a lot of force to bend this. Just hopefully enough to get that to clip back in. And it's doing much better now. Is it perfect? No. But it might be enough. If I can get it to go back on the machine without too much fuss from here, I actually don't need to epoxy anything, I don't think. And honestly, I would rather not, because this whole thing is designed to come off. So yeah, let's put the transport back in. Or rather, I'll do that off camera. We'll put the transport back in. I'll reattach the face to the rest of the deck, and we'll see if we fixed anything. Okay, so the unit is back together well enough to test, and it's almost time to get going, but first, before we do that, I did clean all of these controls while I was in there, because it's really hard to get at these potentiometers unless you've got that board out, which I already fixed, and I didn't want to take that out twice, so that's been done. And it's also got a new cassette loading belt. I think the original was 1.5 millimeters wide, but I went in with one of my 2 millimeter wide VCR loading belts, so hopefully it works. We're going to find out. Now, moment of truth. Do we have a display this time? Yes, we do. I love to see it. Capstan motor is working, I can tell. So let's just take a look at some of these buttons and we'll see if they work. Tape source works. I don't know what APRS does, but no matter. Ooh, we've got a meter range thing. Okay, I like that. Why can't I get something like that on the Excelia? This enables you to have finer resolution to the meter so you can dial in your levels even better. I like that a lot. Let's see, counter mode. Okay, we can either get real time or we can get a traditional 3-digit counter. Kind of cool, even if it's not really necessary. So let's see if it still plays a tape. Where's my demo cassette? We'll close it the fancy way this time. And it is detecting the tape type properly over there. So let's play. Oh, it's so good to see all that stuff working. I am very, very happy. I wasn't sure when I saw that shipping damage coming out of the box that I'd be able to do anything for it, but it looks like I'll be able to get this to 100% functionality once I get everything the transport needs. Now we've got one more thing to do before we call this a video. We need to see what the wow and flutter looks like as a baseline before transport service. So we're going to do that now, because apparently it's playing properly. It's not going to eat the tape. I'm fairly sure of it. And if it does, well, it's just one more thing to order from Fix Your Audio. So yeah, gonna load the alignment tape there. Rewind while we still can. Eventually rewind and fast forward and the reel drive are going to stop working because of that cracked gear, but for now we're good. Alright, who's ready to see what the wow and flutter looks like on this machine before full transport service? It should actually be a little bit improved because I did happen to get in there and not be able to control myself around the capstan bearings, and all that's been relubed now. But let's just find out and see where we get. This is the 3 kHz test tape, as usual. And there we be. I was kind of hoping for a little better, but keep in mind we haven't gone through and relubricated everything yet. I don't like that it's running 15 Hertz high, but we can compensate for that when we're recording our future demo tapes by using a sine wave of 2,985 Hertz. That's what I'll do. I'll run 15 Hertz slow into the machine for recording, and then hopefully we should get our actual proper speed. But look at that, it's actually coming down a little. And this is the thing about wow and flutter testing. You gotta kind of let it run for a bit just to break in and sort of wearing and stuff. And look at that, it's already down to 0.03 or 0.04. This is very good. This is officially the lowest wow and flutter tape deck I have, which isn't saying much because everything else I've serviced up to date is belt drive. I expect the TAC V900X and the Denon DR M3 to approach these numbers, if not beat them. But those two decks are not quartz lock, so... Oh, look at this. 0.032. Wow. Now, I would prefer results even lower than this to make these tapes, but you've got to keep in mind, these are for the tape chewers. These are for the decks like that JVC last week that ate my other tape. This is for the decks I don't want to trust my fix your audio 3 kilohertz tape to go into. So yeah, I think this will do exactly what I need it to. For the real high-end decks, I won't be able to use the tapes this machine makes, but that's fine. That's perfectly fine. So yeah, I'm already very happy with these wow and flutter readings, but I'm going to try and get them lower. You just watch and wait. I'm going to try and get them lower. But yeah, I guess that's going to be it for this time on this video. Next video you see on this unit, we'll be digging into that transport. I don't know when that'll be, because it's probably going to be into the new year at this point. I've got lots of other stuff on my plate, but yeah, we're going to get to it fairly soon, because I don't want to run too many other decks that might chew up these tapes with this tape. So yeah, I'll put a rush job on it if I need it, but for now, we're all good here, I think. Now, next week, what's coming up? Well, I'm kind of getting tired of doing cassette decks again, so we're going to do a non-cassette deck video next week. I've got all these car amplifiers I got for nothing from my buddy who was clearing off his shelf. I think we're going to test a couple of those, see if those work. And yeah, we'll just keep it light next week, because the week after that is the first video on the TAC V900X, and that's going to be a heck of a machine. It'll be just in time for my birthday. Anyway, that's it for this video, guys. See you next time. Take care.